Welcome to AI Daily Deep Dive. Now, this exploration into the top AI news for today, Sunday, May 11th, 2025, it's a bit unique. It was actually researched and generated entirely by AI.
That's right.
Our goal here is to, cut through all the noise, give you the key developments in AI today without making your head spin. So let's just dive right in.
Yeah, let's do it. We've got 5 pretty significant AI stories today. They cover quite a range: online security, the film industry, even warehouse jobs, and online behavior. This is a real snapshot of how AI is spreading out.
Okay, first up then, keeping safe online, Google Chrome. They've announced a new AI feature, seems aimed squarely at sniffing out scam websites. Let's dig into this one.
Right, so Google's basically embedding AI right into the Chrome browser itself. The idea is to give you a real-time warning if you land on a potentially dodgy site.
A real-time warning, okay. And how does it work? The article mentioned a large language model.
Yeah, exactly. What's interesting is it uses this LLM locally, right there in the browser. So it can analyze the page content, the branding, the general intent, to see if it looks deceptive.
Huh. Like it's checking if that bank login page really looks like your bank's page.
Sort of, yeah. It's
Yeah.
looking for those subtle or maybe not so subtle signs that something's off. Things that might trick a person who's maybe in a hurry or not paying close attention.
And Chrome will pop up an alert saying, hey, maybe be careful here.
That's the idea. A warning to proceed with caution.
And you mentioned it happens locally. That's got to be good for privacy, right?
Absolutely. That's a key point they highlighted. Because the analysis happens on your device, your browsing data for that check isn't being sent off to Google's servers. Plus, it should make the detection faster, crucial for those scam sites that pop up and disappear quickly.
Makes sense. And it's not just desktops. Something about Android getting AI security upgrades, too.
That's right. For Android users, they're using Gemini AI, another Google AI model, within Chrome to spot suspicious website notifications. You know those pop-ups that try to trick you into clicking or subscribing to spam?
Oh, yeah, those can be really annoying, sometimes malicious, too.
Exactly. So Chrome on Android will now try to flag those dodgy notifications, give you a warning, and make it easier to just, unsubscribe or check it out carefully.
So it's kind of an extra layer of AI defense on mobile on top of things like their existing enhanced protection.
Precisely. It builds on their existing safety measures.
Sounds like a really useful tool against scammers, especially since their tactics are always changing. They did say it's still in testing phase, though.
Yeah, it's currently being tested, but it definitely signals a move towards more proactive AI-powered browser security. A necessary step, I think.
Agreed. Okay, let's shift gears. Story number 2 takes us to Europe, specifically the film and TV dubbing industry. Looks like they're facing a challenge from AI voice technology.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one. The core issue is how quickly AI voice synthesis and cloning tech is advancing. We're talking about AI that can now generate pretty realistic voiceovers in multiple languages.
Realistic how? Like mimicking human speech patterns.
Yes, mimicking intonation, emotion, getting closer to sounding human, and potentially it could do this faster and cheaper than traditional dubbing methods, which involve, hiring lots of voice actors for different languages.
The article gave an example, right? Like AI analyzing one actor's voice.
Exactly. Analyzing an original actor's voice and then replicating it, maybe even their performance style, across different languages. So you get vocal consistency for a character, but without needing different actors for each language. You can see the appeal from a production standpoint.
But I bet the dubbing professionals aren't too thrilled.
Understandably, no. There are definitely concerns about job displacement. And beyond that, questions about quality. Can AI really capture the nuance, the cultural context, the emotional depth that a skilled human voice actor brings? Many in the industry argue it can't, at least not yet.
And then there are the ethical questions, surely. Using someone's voice, even replicating it.
Huge ethical considerations. Things like getting proper consent from the original actors, figuring out fair compensation if their voice clone is used. These are big hurdles.
Plus, this is Europe we're talking about. They have pretty strong labor laws and IP rights, don't they?
They do. And that legal framework will definitely shape how AI gets adopted, or if it gets adopted widely, in dubbing there. And you also have cultural expectations. European audiences often expect really high-quality dubbing. A noticeable drop in quality because of AI could really impact viewer satisfaction.
So it sounds like a real balancing act, the potential efficiency of AI versus, well, the art and the livelihoods involved.
Exactly. The conversation seems to be moving towards finding ways AI could be a tool to assist human dubbers, maybe handle repetitive tasks or provide a base translation rather than replacing them outright. Maintaining quality and ethical standards is key. That's an ongoing discussion.
Right. Okay, third story. Let's talk about work, warehouses, and robots. Amazon's got a new one called Vulcan, and apparently it can feel. What does that even mean?
Hey, yeah, the feel part is intriguing. It likely refers to advanced sensors, maybe tactile sensors, allowing it to handle objects more delicately or navigate complex environments. But the main point is Vulcan's role. It's designed for those really awkward, physically demanding tasks,
Like what?
like reaching items way up high on shelves or down low near the floor. Tasks that can cause strain or injury to human workers over time. So the goal is ergonomics and safety.
And Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, he commented on this.
Yes, he framed it as enhancing worker safety, but also creating new opportunities. He mentioned employees could develop skills in things like robotics maintenance and oversight.
Shifting roles, basically, away from the straining tasks towards managing the robots doing those tasks.
That's the narrative. And the article points out that robots are already doing a lot at Amazon, handling about 75% of customer orders in some way.
75%. Wow. So are these new jobs really materializing?
Well, Amazon says they've created new job categories because of automation, like robotic floor monitors and on-site reliability maintenance engineers. And they talk about retraining programs to help workers transition into these tech-focused roles.
But there's always the flip side, isn't there? Does retraining work for everyone? And do the number of new jobs actually match the number of jobs that might be, automated away?
That's the million-dollar question. And the article acknowledges those challenges. Retraining isn't always easy or suitable for every worker, and the net effect on overall employment numbers is still debated, not just at Amazon, but across the tech industry. Different viewpoints on how much displacement will actually happen.
So Vulcan is kind of a symbol of this ongoing shift. Automation brings efficiency, maybe safety benefits, but also real challenges for the workforce.
Precisely. It highlights that evolving relationship between human labor and advanced robotics. It's a complex picture with both potential upsides and definite hurdles.
Okay, story number 4 takes us back online, specifically to Reddit. There's a new AI algorithm that spots potential trolls or bad actors, but not by reading their posts. How does that work?
Yeah, this is a fascinating twist on moderation. Instead of analyzing the content, the actual words someone uses this, AI focuses purely on their behavioral patterns.
How they interact, you mean?
Exactly. How often they post, where they post, who they reply to, whether they start new arguments, that sort of thing. The idea is to catch problematic users like trolls or maybe misinformation spreaders who are clever enough to use language that avoids keyword filters or content flags.
So it bypasses the tricky problem of interpreting language and intent directly.
Right. Traditional methods look at the what content or the who network connections. This looks at the how. The researchers used a technique called inverse reinforcement learning. Basically, they watched millions of interactions. 5.9 million interactions on Reddit over 6 years, according to the study. And by observing actions, making posts, commenting, replying this, the AI tried to figure out the underlying strategy or goal behind a user's behavior.
Okay, so what did they find? Any specific types of behavior?
They identified 5 main behavioral personas. One they highlighted was the disagreeer. These are users whose main activity seems to be finding comments they disagree with, posting a contradictory reply, often in response to other people disagreeing, and then just moving on.
They don't stick around to argue.
Apparently not much. They just drop the disagreement and go find another one.
Yeah.
Interestingly, this behavior was more common in political subreddits like our news or politics, but less common, they noted, in the former Arthur Donald subreddit.
Huh, that is interesting. What else?
Another key finding was that users discussing totally different topics, say soccer versus video games, could actually show very similar interaction styles. This kind of challenges the idea that online polarization is purely driven by the topics people discuss. The way people engage matters a lot, too.
So what's the potential application here, helping moderators?
That's the hope. This behavioral analysis could help moderators spot potentially disruptive users before they post explicitly harmful content. It might also help platforms design features that encourage more constructive conversations, steering away from these negative interaction patterns.
So focusing on behavior, not just words, could be a more robust way to tackle online toxicity.
It seems like a really promising direction. It makes it harder for bad actors to game the system just by choosing their words carefully, and it could lead to healthier online spaces overall.
Definitely one to watch. Okay, our final story today tackles something fundamental. The need for ethical standards as AI gets more powerful and widespread. We're talking about the IE 7000 standard.
That's right. As AI and autonomous systems become more capable, the ethical questions get bigger and more complex. The IE 7000 2021 standard, quite mouthful, its full title is IE Standard Model Process for Addressing Ethical Concerns, during system design, is basically a framework to address this head-on.
So it's a process, a methodology, not just a list of rules.
Exactly. It provides a structured way to embed ethical thinking throughout the entire life cycle of designing a system, right from the initial concept stage through to deployment and maintenance.
The goal being to avoid those ethical problems popping up later down the line.
Precisely. It's about proactively aligning the technology with societal values and human expectations. The core idea is something called value-based engineering, or VBE.
Value-based engineering. Okay, what does that involve?
Well, it starts with really understanding the context. Where will this system be used? Who are the stakeholders? What are their values? Then, a crucial step is translating those often abstract values, like fairness or privacy, into concrete, actionable design requirements. They call these EVRs ethical value requirements.
So making ethics tangible for engineers. That makes sense. What else is key?
Transparency is another big one, making sure you can trace how ethical considerations were handled, what decisions were made, and why. And also, iterative evaluation and constantly assessing and refining the ethical aspects as the system is developed and even after it's deployed. It's not a one-and-done check.
And this applies broadly, but the article stressed its importance for AI and autonomous systems.
Absolutely, because the potential impact and potential harms of AI can be so significant. Think self-driving cars, diagnostic tools, facial recognition. Adopting a standard like IE 7000 can help companies manage those risks, build trust with users and the public, and also keep up with regulations, which are definitely coming in this area.
Are companies actually using this? Is there support?
Yes, the IE offers training programs to help organizations implement it. And significantly, this standard isn't just an IE thing. It's been recognized internationally and adopted by ISO as well.
So it has global weight.
It does. It really underlines that growing consensus that we can't just build powerful AI and hope for the best. We need robust, internationally recognized processes to ensure technology develops responsibly and aligns with our values. IE 7000 provides a comprehensive way to do that.
Okay, a really important standard to be aware of. And that wraps up our AI Daily Deep Dive for today, Sunday, May 11th, 2025.
We covered quite a bit.
We did. Google's AI scam spotter in Chrome, the AI voice tech concerns in European dubbing, Amazon's Vulcan robot, and the changing face of warehouse work, that Reddit algorithm looking at behavior, not just content, and finally, the crucial IE 7000 ethical standard for AI.
A busy day in AI news.
Definitely. So as a final thought for you, our listener, considering all these rapid advancements we just discussed, what do you think is the single most pressing ethical challenge we face as AI becomes more widespread? And maybe how can individuals play a part in ensuring it develops responsibly? Something to ponder.
A great question to leave people with.
Thanks for taking this deep dive into today's AI news with us.